So explain what a human design is, like briefly.
Human design is is like a meta astrological system, which means it takes into consideration things like the sign, your zodiac sign. It looks at several different systems from around the planet. Anyway, it puts it all together, and essentially, it tells you about you as a human, what your design is, and essentially you as a person, based on the time, place, date that you were born, you have a specific human design.
So on Instagram, this person came up, like it was about semen retention. And there's this guy, he's a stockbroker in London, or was it New York? So this guy approaches him on the street and says, "Hey, can I ask you a question? You look jacked. Tell me about, how you get jacked, etc." And then he said that he was doing semen retention for 2 years straight. Yeah. And he basically said, stop watching porn, stop wanking. Your body will absorb any semen that isn't released and becomes your superpower. And
so essentially what you're talking about is it's sexual energy. It's the only energy that exists in the universe that's created everything. It's in every seed, it's in every tree, it's in every plant, it's in every animal, it's in every leaf, it's in every food that we eat. It's biology, it's in every star. We call it sexual because it comes through our sex centers, but it's creative energy, it's creative force. And by retaining it, it's not the sperm that, by holding it and that your sperm is your energy. It's the energy comes out of your body as sperm, but it's the creative force of the universe that you keep within you.
You do it.
Hey, my name's Naiko. I'm currently mainly a singer-songwriter. I'm also a multi-instrumentalist. I'm also a mystic and a healer, and I use numerology, astrology, human design, and the gene codes to first gain an understanding of myself, and then hopefully one day to help others, if they wish, get an understanding of themselves.
So explain what a human design is, like briefly.
Okay, and then after that, I want to go back onto the thing we were talking about before. But
yeah.
Human design, so this is something that I've discovered recently. It's something that a friend made me aware of a while ago, a couple of years ago. Human design is like a meta astrological system, which means it takes into consideration things like the sign, your zodiac sign. It looks at several different systems from around the planet. So it's looking at the chakra system, which comes from India, the Qi Yin or Yin Qi system, which is a Chinese system, which looks at hexagrams, the 64 of them, which each have a significant symbology and meaning and connection to the different aspects of the being and the body. It looks at the meridians and energy flows, which is Chinese medicine. Anyway, it puts it all together, and essentially it tells you about you as a human, what your design is. So just to break that down, there are 5 different types of human designs. You've got generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector, and another one which I always forget. It will come back to me. And essentially, you as a person, based on the time, place, date that you were born, you have a specific human design, one of these 5. And under these 5, there's still different bits, descriptions, functions, ways of thinking, doing, receiving, acting that are yours and truly yours. And the reason this is so important to me, and the reason it's had probably the biggest impact that any other knowledge has had in my life, is that had I known what my human design was, which is I'm a projector, and how to essentially use my energy before, I would have saved so much time and so much energy in how I go about my day. So it tells you, like, essentially it gives you guidance on how to approach life, whether it's projects, relationships, success, your own energy, what kind of approach you should have to sleep, to eating, to manifestation. And yeah, and essentially mine is that as a projector, you're a projector too. I've done yours, Ollie, as well. As a projector, I mean, I could go into this, I could speak into this for about a month. But as a projector, we're not the crazy 9 to 5 hustlers where we just grind and grind and grind and grind and grind every day. If we were to do that, we would burn out. And I know that I've been living in burnout for the past fucking decade. And our job is to work when we feel like it, when we feel inspired to, when we want to, in the things that inspire us. And when we do choose to work, we're incredibly productive, we're incredibly efficient, we're also very intuitive, and we just get a shitloads done. So I've stopped hustling, I've stopped going out trying making things happen. I've just focused on me, my well-being, my sleep, my food, my exercise, my breathing, my spirituality, my relationships, and my rest. And naturally things are falling into place. So that's what human design is in a nutshell, and how it's impacted me.
So on Instagram, this person came up. I don't know whether the phones are listening to our conversation, but it was about semen retention. And there's this guy, he's a stockbroker in London, or was it New York?
No, I
anyway,
think it's America.
Yeah. So this guy approaches him on the street and says, "Hey, can I ask you a question? You look jacked. Tell me about, how you get jacked, etc."
Okay.
And then he started talking about gym and diet and sleep. And then he said that he was doing semen retention for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And he basically said, stop watching porn, stop wanking. Your body will absorb any semen that isn't released and becomes your superpower. And I'm recently, over the last month, getting into this because when I was 21, I stopped wanking for like 2 months because a person I fell in love with, I thought I was going to be with her, and I wanted to like save myself up for her when I eventually got with her, but I never ended up getting with her because it was all in my head. I wanted her, she didn't want me. I finally got the balls to say I liked her. She was with somebody else. But the point was, is that for those 2-3 months, I believed that I was going to be with her. I didn't wank for 2-3 months, and my manifestation skills were like I was fucking God. I'd think about anything, anyone, and boom, it would come up in real time. And I always wanted to know if I could ever get back to that state. Since not doing it for a month as much, my manifestation has increased by 3 times. 3 times. It's like one thing after the other, to the point where I'm like, what's next? Whereas even like a month ago, 2 months ago, it wasn't as frequent. I knew I had these abilities, but it wasn't as frequent. But now it's like, what next? I'm thinking about something, I'm walking down the street and someone's talking about what I just thought about. It's like, what next? And it's almost like, I don't want to lose a superpower. I don't want to just wank for the sake of wanking, because then my energy is just gone. That's my superpower. And the fact that I saw this guy talk about it and how he said it's your superpower gives me the affirmation I need to keep doing it and knuckle down on it. This is my superpower. And
so essentially what you're talking about is it's sexual energy. It's the only energy that exists in the universe that's created everything. It's in every seed, it's in every tree, it's in every plant, it's in every animal, it's in every leaf, it's in every food that we eat. It's biology, it's in every star. We call it sexual because it comes through our sex centers, but it's creative energy, it's creative force. And by retaining it, it's not the sperm that, by holding it and that your sperm is your energy. It's the energy comes out of your body as sperm, but it's the creative force of the universe that you keep within you. And actually, by not excreting it, there is a Sanskrit word for this, and I can't remember it. I discovered it recently, but by keeping it in your body, and there's different techniques that I've practiced. I still masturbate every day, so I've tried, and after like 3 days. But there are breathing techniques. Actually, there's a book I've got upstairs called The Multi-Orgasmic Man, and it's tantric sexual practices that the ancient Daos of China used to practice to retain the semen and practice having non-ejaculatory orgasms.
yes.
But yeah, so essentially, like, you're keeping that energy within you rather than having it dried up on a towel by the side of your bed.
But that's the thing, right? You can orgasm without coming. So
Yeah,
why would you need to come if you can orgasm?
I found out recently that hundreds of years ago, especially in India, it was or maybe thousands of years ago, but before our times, it was common practice. It's just we've lost the practice, and apparently all it is just a bit of discipline and practice. because naturally the orgasm follows the ejaculation, but there's a way to split the two so you can still have the orgasm and not ejaculate. And what's called after the ejaculation is called the refractory period, where you feel knackered and then you just want to sleep and your girlfriend to cuddle you, or not, or boyfriend, depends how you're inclined, or both. So actually once you've got to the point where you split the two and you can have an orgasm without the ejaculation, actually it increases your energy, increases the feeling of your orgasm. And if you're able to direct that energy through breathing, you can direct it wherever you want. You can direct it to your third eye to have more intuition. You can direct it to what I do when I have an orgasm, even though I still ejaculate. I'll always use that energy to heal a part of me. So let's say that I'm going through heartache, I'll have an orgasm and then I'll breathe that energy into my heart and send the intention to heal. Or let's say that I need my voice to be smooth for work because I'm a singer, I'll breathe that energy up to my throat. Or let's say that I want to have more deep meditations or intuition, then I'll breathe that energy up to here. I never leave it just down there.
See, I've never done that. Whenever I do it, it's just, come and that's it, go to bed. But we're missing out on a superpower by directing the energy. So you're right. When you're about to orgasm, you feel like the most powerful being ever. And as soon as you release, 10 seconds later, you feel depleted, you feel weak, you want to go to sleep, you want to cuddle. So if you can separate the two, you can stay on the top of the mountain for as long as you want. And you never ever have to go back down if you can differentiate the difference between orgasm and ejaculation and learn how to control that muscle that wants to go.
Even like I don't sleep around, but the last time I did have a sexual interaction, and I only do it with people who, well, first off, it's very rare, but when it happens, it's people that have meaning in my life. I call it making love. The last time I did that, or the times I do that, my goal is never to come. I never aim to come, because I know that as soon as that's done, it's like that's it. It's like the ride. Not only first off the ride's over, but two, I'm knackered. I feel tired, and I don't know. I do it for the experience of, I don't know. It's something bigger than just reaching the orgasm.
You're creating a feeling with another human being and sharing that feeling with them. It's about this bubble, this energy field that we are creating together, that we are using each other to make us feel the most highest vibration of what anything can feel on the planet. And then we're just in this bubble of each other.
So far, that's what we think is the highest vibration that we can feel on this planet. I think there's more, but that would be through like spiritual sex where there's no orgasms, which is why, like, I remember having this thought, and I think it was maybe a year ago or 2 years, where I broke my rule of not sleeping around, because my rule is I'll only sleep with people who I have a connection with and usually are like committed partners. And then I broke that rule for 6 months and I slept with a few different people. And even with one who was a committed partner, it was just sex. And I realized, like, right, that's it. I'm done with just physical sex. For me now, it has to be a spiritual seeking. It has to be a spiritual experience, which is why with my previous partner who is into Tantra, we're not together anymore, but like because I've been, the idea of Tantra, even though that's only technically a Western appropriation of sex. If you go back to the tantric yogis in Himalaya, if you talk to them about tantric sex, you'll be like, yeah, they're talking bullshit. But in the West, we know it as Tantra. When I found this person who's into Tantra, it was like fucking wicked. Finally, I can actually like have sacred sex, rather than just penetration and orgasm and making the other person orgasm, because even that's a massive ego fucking thing. It's like, oh, fucking challenge, I'm gonna make her come as much as I can. If I make her come as much as I can, fucking win. And that's a massive ego thing as well. So yeah, for me, like sex is highly sacred, highly fucking sacred. And that, not to say that sometimes it's okay to just go fucking animalistic and have a quickie in the bathroom. That's also very important. But
so when I did Tantra for the first time, eye gazing on mushrooms, and I felt the climax of an orgasm times 10, and it just went on and on and on and on and on. I can only describe as I'm just looking at her in the eye, and I go into this like vortex, and then she just becomes this, what I remember as the Isis goddess, and I saw her as a cat, and I was looking in her eye, and I saw the Horus's eye thing, right?
Horus.
Yeah, whatever it is, right?
Horus.
Yeah, and then when you realize that that is the same shape as our pineal gland, right? The shape
Pineal.
of pineal gland, right?
Pineal would be
That
the penis.
okay. Fuck. Yeah, so you know, when you see that that is the same shape as the pineal gland, right? Pineal gland, then you think, wow, if what I'm feeling is essentially DMT coming from the pineal gland, and I'm looking in her eye and I'm seeing the pineal gland, what the fuck are we? We're just the pineal gland. And what is the pineal gland? This like highest form of vibration. And
The pineal gland, sorry to interrupt, man. The pineal gland is the organ that we're all born with that is the door to other dimensions. It's fucking weird. It's like part of our biology. We just have it's called pineal because it looks like a pine. It's in our it's so sacred that like kings and queens and emperors would have that pine crafted on the top of their staffs years and years and years ago. Like it's on statues all over the world. Sorry to interrupt you, man, but like just to give information as to how this is so important. It was so
is
important.
that, hang on, acorn? You mean an acorn or pine?
Well, pine, it kind of looks like an acorn / pine.
Because I know that a lot of people had like acorns on like buildings back in the day. Acorns symbolize something.
Yeah, well, if you look into the shape of the pineal gland and then how just type in pineal gland, it's a revered symbol. So people would have it on staffs because they know it's the door to like extra meta human powers. It's pretty insane, man.
But anyway, back to the feeling. I thought that feeling what I felt through sex was the highest form of feeling. And then I did Tantra on mushrooms and I realized, wow, I didn't know I could feel something like this. And everything else felt like shit. It felt like it was just a waste of time, pathetic. It was like, that is nonsense. Because if I could choose to feel this feeling versus that feeling through sex, I would choose this eye-gazing feeling on mushrooms. Now, whether it was from the mushrooms or not, and I can still feel it without mushrooms, different story. Haven't done that yet. I will be able to do that and rule it out. But when you compare the feelings of how you feel as a body, you realize, wow, there is feelings and vibrations out there that you didn't know you can feel. And it's not even, oh, I felt that, but you know, what else is out there? It's, if I felt that, what else is out there? If I didn't know that was out there and I felt that, what else is out there? Which is exciting because it's basically opened up this portal of what you think you know you don't know, and there's always something better. And I'm like, well, can you really find like a perfect partner and then find somebody else even more perfect? And the answer is yes. And can you find someone else even more perfect when you think you can't find anyone else more perfect? And the answer is yes. And so it's like, well, is there an end? Does it ever end?
I was thinking about that the other day, man, or today. Like the reason we experience loss, let's say with a partner or a job, is because we live under the illusion that that was the best that exists out there and that we can't get anything as good. And it's like, think of how many times you've thought that every time you've lost something and you've always found better. Like we forget that the universe, even if you don't want to go all woo-woo and talk about the universe, like there's enough fucking diversity on planet Earth that there's always more and always better. And it's insanely, we'll use the word naive instead of arrogant to say that you think that that's it, you've had the best of whatever that was, and think, right, fuck, man, there's 8 billion of us. I probably don't even know a million of us, probably never met a million of us, and you think you've experienced the best in your life. Fucking wake up, man, get real.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like there's 8 billion people and you think that there is, you know, you meet somebody who ticks every single box and then there's no one else that will tick every single box like that. What you're saying is that there's one person out of 8 billion people that is like the most perfect match for you. And when you think about it, that is absurd because there can't be just one of this one person. There might not be any better, but there might be thousands of people exactly the same, but just look different, live in a different house, different place. But they all do yoga, all do ice baths, all do meditation, all have like, you know, defluoride toothpaste, all drink filtered water, all give love and healing, all let go, all forgive, all go to the gym, you know, like it could be all those, like, say, top 50 traits of yourself, which is basically living in perfect harmony with nature, doing all the stuff that we should be doing anyway. But the only difference is they might be a different color, they might live in a different part of the place. But then it's like, well, there could be something more better or more aligned, because why wouldn't there be? Because as we evolve as humans, there's always a human that has evolved from the last human. So you'd have, say, a 20-year-old that is more evolved than the 30-year-old, because the 20-year-old has learned from the 30-year-old. So now when they get to the point of 30, they have taken wisdom of the 30-year-old. So now they're basically a 30-year-old in a 20-year-old body. So if you keep applying that theory to life, it's like you're always getting smarter. AI is always getting smarter. There's always somebody more aligned with you if you're evolving. So why wouldn't there be someone else? And then you realize, wow, there is someone else out there.
You said it so simply, man. I don't even think it requires any further elaboration of the simple question of why wouldn't there be? Like, that's that simple, man. Yeah.
But we're scared that if we let go of this thing right now that we think is the one thing, and that we're never going to find anything better, not only do we restrict ourselves from going into energy fields where people are more likely to be because we're so focused over here, but we're not evolving ourselves, because the person that we meet, which isn't this person, is going to be a more evolved version of this person, which means they're a more evolved version of you. And if you're staying here focused on that person as their evolution, then you're not going to find the other person who's more evolved. So you're preventing yourself from evolving by thinking this person, as evolved as they are, is as good as it gets. And I'm like, no, there's so much wisdom over there. I didn't know I could feel Tantra until I did Tantra. And then when you do Tantra, you realize there's a whole load of other shit that you can feel. Like,
and then once you figure that out, you realize, okay, Tantra feels amazing. Now I want to know what it feels like to completely renounce sex, and that'll be even better. And then, like, once you've renounced sex, then you think, that's it, I've reached the ultimate spiritual high. You realize that I don't need to renounce it, I want to have it again. And then you have sex again, and that's the new high. And then you just go around in circles, but it gets higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. It's fucking insane. There's no end. There's no fucking end.
Yeah, it's almost like you go from holding off coming for ages, and then the next time you go to doing eye gazing on mushrooms and then not having sex, and then you think, let's input the sex and the eye gazing and on mushrooms. So now you've gone up another level, and then you think, wow, I'm now not going to, I want to do this for 4 hours. So now you're doing all of this and for 4 hours, and you're just on this bliss of, fuck, nothing else matters in this life. Who cares about dinner? Who cares about the shower? Who cares that the kids need to go to school? I just want to sit in this bubble forever because it feels so good. And that is the never-ending expanding universe. Because then, for example, you would have some frog medicine, or you'd have some ayahuasca, or you'd have some cactus medicine with the mushrooms and the Tantra and the sex. It's like, wow, even more high. And then you think, wow, what else can I do? Add the breath work. So now you're doing all of that, you're adding the breathing, and then you might find another way to enhance it. I don't know, doing it in the woods, who knows? But then it's like you can always outdo yourself, even though you thought you couldn't outdo yourself. If you just know, you can always outdo yourself, but not if you believe that this is it.
All comes down to belief, man. It's probably the only thing that actually exists in the universe is what do you believe in? And your belief. In psychology, they call it your blueprints, your psychological blueprints. What are your blueprints? Which in spirituality, they call it, what are your belief systems? And essentially, your life is purely a limit of the constructs of your belief systems. And your belief systems will either allow you to be fully expansive or limited to that of your belief systems. It's that simple. That's life.
It is true. Like, you know, the mind can change everything, and what you focus on is changed by the mind. So if you think that this is it, then your mind is stagnant. If you put your mind so far into the future, you've basically reeled out a fishing rod into an ocean with a limited amount of fish. And there is a limited amount of fish swimming. But if you don't throw your fishing rope into the ocean, then you're never You just sit on that side thinking there was one fish.
I'm going to add to it because there is the mind, but there's also more. And it's something that's quite, because that's one of the issues with like new age spirituality, man, where, or influences, or everyone talks about the mind and the mindset as if that's all that exists. There's so much more. And there's your emotions, and then there's also the dark side of everyone. We all have a light and a dark side. And you can have a really fucking, and this is something that is really applicable in my life recently. Like, I've always had what I thought was strong will, strong mindset. But the one thing, and all the way throughout my life, whatever I'd want, I'd be able to get it. Or I just decide to do something and I'd get it. But the one thing I hadn't tackled was my dark side. So my shadows. So my deepest wounds, whether it's from this life, whether it's from like passed on through my genetics, through my parents and their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. And you can have a strong ass fucking mindset, but unless you've tackled your shadow, unless you fucking faced the darkest feelings that you know are there, but you do everything and anything to convince yourself that they don't exist, and even if they do exist, they're not important enough to face. Unless you fucking face them, there will be a massive limit, either to your material success, your relationship success, or if you have all of it, the satisfaction you have in your life. So there is mindset, very important. And the mind is incredibly powerful because the universe is ultimately one massive fucking mind divided into loads of different minds. But within that mind is the emotional. And if you haven't faced your darkest emotions, you will never truly even come close to your potential. And that's something that's close to me because I've finally had the fucking courage. I've been forced to do that thanks to a person who gave me the courage enough to do it. And ever since I've gone through that transformation, I do less, I work less, I have so much more pleasure in everything that I do. I'm so much more committed to what was difficult before, like being committed to the gym or being committed to martial arts or being committed to my work. Fucking love it now because like the shadow has been transformed into light, which means that because I'm living in the light, doesn't mean to say I don't suffer and that shit doesn't happen, but everything's just joyful now. It's either joyful or I'm tired or I'm bored. But even then, everything's generally, my baseline is generally joy and comedy.
You're talking about a twin flame?
Yeah.
See, when I met my twin flame and I thought it was going to be romantic, I just suddenly found this person who was literally just me in the male body, in the female body. I was like, holy shit. This person made me move out of my house, which I'd never have done. I came back. I only moved out pretty much because of her and, set up a business. But the life lessons I learned and the evolvement of myself because of one human being, the belief that this person was something, even though they were the opposite, took me, I quantum leaped because of this individual. And we only met a handful of times.
You reckon
it was just that back.
You reckon it was just that individual?
Huh?
You reckon it was just that? It's because of that individual?
That individual made me essentially become a child to an adult. That one person, because they reflected back all of the let's call it the worst traits of me.
The shadow aspects.
Yeah, because what happened was that I was so intense, for example, and she was also so intense. She saw herself in me by me being intense, which meant she didn't like that in me because it made her think of herself.
It reminded her of herself, yeah.
And it would mean that other people also would be thinking that about her.
Can you say that again? Because it's just making me realize something about my experience. By the way, the twin flame experience is not something I shout out about, man. I don't talk about it because it's so sacred and personal. But at the same time, it's the most powerful encounter I've ever had. So say what you were saying again about the intenseness.
So I was extremely intense all the time. She was very intense.
And now you're less intense. Bullshit. You're just intense, man.
No, anyway.
I mean, I didn't know you before, so.
Yeah. No, you didn't. No, I was so intense all the time. Too much for everybody, yeah? and I was following her Instagram and a Snapchat, and she was incredibly intense like me, doing accents, doing impressions, talking like this, and should I go out tonight like this? And I was like, oh my God, it's me, right? And so when I met her, I was like that.
Isn't it magical when you meet that person? You're like, oh my God, I can't believe you exist.
Yeah, and before you're like, I always thought you existed, and now you're here.
Yeah, but okay, I'm gonna hold you on that thought, man, because there's one thing I said to this person. I might get emotional talking about this. When I met this person, I told this person, it's like my heart has finally found, like, it's kind of like all the love that I've given to everyone else was actually only and ever always for you, and now I know that you exist, my heart can settle. Does that make sense?
Of course.
It's like, you know that there's someone out there, and once you meet them, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is fucking real. And it's like your heart has always had a compass. You don't know why it has a compass. You don't know why it's pointing different ways. You don't know why it's trying to find the different directions. And then you meet this person, it's like, oh my God, that's why my heart has a compass, because it was pointing at that.
Essentially, it's energy coming home to like energy.
Well, there's a quote that I heard from a guy called Robert Grant and other people, that like, there is nothing more beautiful than source dividing itself and then just so it can find itself again and reunite. That's the whole point of twin flames, is like, you are one source of energy. Well, let's simplify it, but yeah, you're one soul, which is so powerful and has so much that it has to divide itself into two to be able to experience itself fully. But because it divides itself into two, even though it's powerful, there's this sense of longing of like, something's not fucking right, like a void, or like, I don't know, like, yeah. And then once you find that person again, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I didn't know you existed, but I knew you existed, and now I know you exist. It makes sense that that's how I felt. It's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, so it's like the person thinks the same, does the same things, personality's the same mindset. You're literally the same person.
Even same similar life path. Like my core wound was abandonment trauma, and for me that expressed as, well, it was triggered through that relationship as an anxious attachment style, which is interesting because I have been avoidant before. So for me, it triggered as an anxious attachment style. And then for this person, it triggered as, when I say this person, just to clarify, it is a woman.
No, it's a penguin who's non-binary. That refers to himself as they, she, her, and it.
You're gonna get cancelled.
I give a fuck. All the penguins can fuck off.
I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Right, and then this person's attack, like this abandonment trauma, manifested as a severe avoidant attachment. So we both, and it's interesting because she would say, like, we have the same core wounds. We're both absolutely petrified of abandonment. I can't remember why I got onto this topic. But oh yeah, because we are the fucking same. Like, we mirror each other. Like, the reason she got annoyed at me is just like what you said. Like, it's so fucking mad, because when I met this person, she was like, yeah, not ready for a relationship, not emotionally available. I was like, right, okay. But in my head, I was like, bullshit, because your body language is very fucking intense. You're sitting on me, you're stroking me, you're coming up to me, you're hugging me, you're holding me, but you're telling me you're not available. That was intense. And then because I'm the kind of person that will follow or read or respond to someone's actions, not their words. I was going along with all the fucking love bombing, the physical love bombing. And then she messaged me saying, you're too intense. And I was like, bullshit. I'm just responding to how intense you are. You know, so it's a constant mirror. But yes, because the mirror is so fucking, it's like, you know, like when you buy those, I've got one upstairs, I bought one recently. You know, those little mirrors that like amplify, they're like ×2 or ×7, like to plug. Yeah. I use them to plug my eyebrows. Magnifying mirrors. So I've got a monogram. It's like when you look into those mirrors and it's so zoomed in, you're like, oh my God, you can see all your imperfections.
Yeah, all your pores.
And that's why it fucking triggers the shit. And man, like, yeah. So at the same time, like twin flame, when you meet your person, and that's the only occasion ever that I would say there is only one person out there for you, but not everyone has a twin flame. Just because you haven't have a twin flame doesn't mean that they will be your romantic partner in this life. But anyways, it's the most beautiful thing, Some even compare it. I've heard a spiritual master, Indian spiritual master, say that love that you feel in the twin flame connection is as strong as a mother-child love.
I would absolutely 100% agree.
I
couldn't stop thinking.
I'm not a mum, and I don't have a vagina or a uterus, and I will never have a child. I will never bear a child and pop it out. And
I have a vagina.
Do you? But you're a penguin.
It's called a pussy ass.
Right. A puss hole.
A puss. Okay.
But yeah, they say like the strength of it compares, and I can honestly say the pain that I've gone through, man,
was like popping out a child out of my dick.
Well, it's that I would have rather have had popping out a child out of my dick than the pain I've gone through. Although the pain
would you rather have passed through what those things called that guys get from stones?
Kidney stones.
Would you rather pass through kidney stones or meet your twin flame and go through that again?
The pain of a twin flame, I would, if I had to choose. Let's not talk about the growth I got out of meeting my twin flame, because that has been the most expansive.
Yeah, so it's emotional pain versus physical pain.
Metamorphosis experience. Well, I'm glad I've gone through it now because I love who I am. But if I had to choose over the pain of a kidney stone and twin flame, fucking kidney stones, hands down. I've never had kidney stones. In touch wood, I'm grateful that I've never had them and will never have them. But man, the pain is excruciating, man. I would drink myself to sleep. I would chain smoke from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. Unless I'm indoors, then I can't smoke, or unless I'm on the public transport. But like, man, the pain was. But it was thanks to this person, because this person meant so much to me that when I saw this person, I knew. I remember even when the first night we were like on our first date, I guess, there was a woman next to us who was high on coke, but she just came and sat next to us. And I'd only known this person. I almost said her name. I only known this person for less than 24 hours. Jolie.
Me Julie, twin flame.
David. You
said you were straight, bruv.
I'd known her for less than 24 hours, and I remember the lady next to on my right, her name was Michelle. And I said, "Hey, Michelle, meet X and X, X and Y. This is my future wife, by the way." And like, I'm not that kind of guy. I know I'm a romantic, I'm a lover. When love presents itself, I don't hold back. I go all in, because why the fuck not? Regardless of how painful it will be. I can't remember why I was telling you this. Why was I telling you this?
Anyway, do you want to wrap this up and start another episode?
What? You can't just cut it off like that, man.
Well, they'll have to wait. We're going to cut it off, and then we can start another episode, yeah?
Okay, sure.
Right, before we leave, if you had one day left, anything you want to promote or plug?
I want to kind of put you guys towards my Instagram, but I'm not giving you anything of value. If you want to go onto my Instagram, it's Naiko Jacques, Naiko Jacques. But what I do want to plug is the piece of knowledge that I've learned is that the pain of changing, there's two things. The pain of changing is far less than the pain of staying in that place which you're trying to avoid. And also, all the joy and bliss and ease and happiness and flow and success that you're looking for is in the deepest depths of the darkest shadows that you're avoiding. So go all in, feel them. It will be fucking scary. If there's someone that can hold your hand or you can sit with while you do that, do it. Go all in. It won't last forever. It will be fucking horrible, and you might cry for a long time, for a few days or a few weeks. But do it. Once you come out the tunnel, that is more powerful than any spiritual fucking course or any fucking Bali retreat or any meditation or any breathing or any diet or any fucking gym or any Maserati or fucking Land Rover Evoque or mansion that you can ever distract yourself with, because that's all that is to do, is just to distract yourself from your darkness. So go into your darkness and you will find everything that you want outside of that. Yeah,
well, my last question is, if you had one day left to live, what's the thing that you would say to the rest of the world? But you pretty much just said it, unless you have something better.
No, that's it.
Okay. Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.